Hey, wanted to put out a update. Been working on the terminal module for about 2 weeks now. I did put out one post, my first post on my Patreon, covering the very basics that I implemented to get it up and running. But I've since then implemented lots of good, like quality of life changes to it. So I wanted to share those. Um, so yeah, let's jump into this. Foundry, and this module should work pretty well with any type of sci-fi type of space that you want to build. Um, so the module is called Terminal, and what it does is it allows you to create a tile like this, and you can give it an image if you want to make it a little more terminal looking. But once you have the tile down, you can double click on it, and you'll see this terminal enabled checkbox. You can hit that, and I need to create a journal, and then give it a page 1, content 1, and then we can now assign any journal that we have. It'll look through all of them. You just select the radio checkbox for whatever journal you want to link to that device. And I previously assumed that you would have to manually enter in data from the journal into um, the UI of the forms that I made. But I've since made it now where it can very seamlessly integrate with the journal system. So you can have journals, and essentially what will happen is as our character walks onto the terminal tile, um, he will get that unlocked for him. Um, it detects that this is a GM playing right here, so it actually won't do an unlock. But if we had a player character, which is the left side here, the right side is the GM, left side is player 2, who owns Holroyd here. He's going to walk onto the tile, and what that's going to do is that's going to open up. You see this journal, and we look at the ownership for it. It actually placed player 2 as an observer for that, and it just showed up in his journal tab. So he's essentially discovered this information. So page 1, content 1, we can add in more pages to make page 2, content 2, and we'll go over that in a second. We now have the other page, so it's dynamically pulling in the data from tests. It's not as static as before, where you'd have to go into a bunch of forms. Made it a lot more usable. And yeah, some other quality of life things is you might not necessarily want to share journals when you find them. So when you hit the close button, there's a, yeah, it gives you this dialogue here. So would you like to reveal this terminal data to your party? You hit yes, reveal. It'll put a message in the chat, and it'll link to the journal, and it'll say, this journal has been discovered. If you keep that private, nothing changes. Holreed still has access to that test. If he walks away from it, he still effectively has written down a copy of the information. And another quality of life thing, when you walk off the tile, it closes it. This is to help, because before you could just kind of walk around the map and have it open, even minimized, I think. So kind of weird that you could be accessing a terminal from across the room. So that's been fixed. The loading screen that I have takes about a second and a half or something. I've added a click to skip over that, so you can kind of quickly get right to it if you already are familiar with the terminal. There you go, click. So let's do the share. Close, yes, reveal. And then everyone that's in the session is going to get this message. It does say Game Master, and then test is discovered. So the way this works and the way permissions work in Foundry, you need to essentially proxy permissions. You need to send a message to the GM, and the GM is going to alter the permissions. Because if we look at the permissions now for the journal, we can see everyone is an observer. So that's why that's coming from the GM. But yeah, anyone that was not Holroyd is now going to see this in the chat. And because of how there's a UUID attached to journals, and you can just write them in the text chat here, you can just click right on that. So if you weren't Holroyd, you would have just gotten this, and you can click on that and read that and found out what Holroyd discovered on the computer terminal there. There is settings we can do. Let's go to the GM. Yeah, let's just stick on the GM for now. There is settings that I have enabled for this. So you can pick the color using the color lib. I've done the integrated implementation of it, meaning you don't have to download an extra module as a dependency for that. So we've gone and changed the color. So you can walk on this, and all the highlights, the shadows, and the base color have all been changed to red here. And cool feature as well is having the terminal personalized with whatever type of theming you're going for. So if you're going for, you know, Nostromo terminal, you could put Nostromo in here. Or if you wanted to not even use this in Alien, you wanted to use this in Cyberpunk, you could put some kind of reference to Cyberpunk right in there as ASCII art. I do have a link to this site here. Where you can write out any type of text. Not feeling creative, so I'm just going to write cyber. We're going to put that right in there, hit the save there, and we do see cyber is the new ASCII art that's going to show up. You don't even necessarily have to click save there. Should have already saved it when you closed out of the first window. Yeah, cyber. Check that out. All right, I think I've covered all the features there. Yeah, just a little update on this. I don't officially have my Patreon integrated with Foundry, so unfortunately this isn't available to people yet. But I'm emailing them, so getting pretty close in that process. Should have something out pretty early next month, I would think, November 2023.